mother's cooking too, so it sounds like your grandmother is famous for cauliflower and linguine pasta. I need evidence to test that out so that one day, Okay. But it is a popular dish in her home, and it is slow cook tri-tip in there. So I'm hungry now. So, but other than that, Cody has also been on our leadership seminar journey at Gettysburg and really impressed our colonel and generals that lead us in that capacity. And just it's an interesting story because the minute he spoke with one of them, they said he's a leader. They could feel his love for kids and for people. And so happy for you, and congratulations, Cody. We'll give you a chance to address the board.
Appreciate it. Good evening, Board President Flores, members of the board, Executive Cabinet, Superintendent Miranda, members of the audience. Thank you. Thank you for placing this trust in me. I know it's a big responsibility, and I intend to treat it as such. If you were to ask me just 5 years ago if I thought I'd be here, I'm not sure what I would have said, but I know what I can say is, like everyone here, I didn't get here on my own. I had a lot of support. And of course, we alluded to my son, who's in the audience, Brian, my wife, Marla, and we have some family friends, Miss Rilla and Mr. Howard, who at this point, they're family. They're not just friends. These folks have supported me, but obviously I've had a lot of professional support as well. I've had some great principals guide me. I've had the leadership seminar experience, which was truly transformative. It really speaks to the forward thinkingness of this district. I can tell we're headed in some great directions with that, the design process, all of that. So I'm truly honored, I'm proud, and grateful that you would place this responsibility with me. And I look forward, and I'm super excited wherever I get placed to serve the community to my best ability. Thank you.
One more round of applause for Cody, please. Next, I'd like to introduce our new elementary principal, Jeffrey Curran. So Jeffrey has a very eclectic background. He's a secondary English teacher, drama, IB English teacher. He is a teacher on assignment for secondary ELA, teacher at Citrus Valley High School, middle school English language arts, history and exploratory teacher, middle school English department chair, and most recently assistant principal at Terrace View Elementary. He is a lifelong Grand Terrace resident. He's CJUSD alum, went to Grand Terrace Elementary, Terrace Hills Middle School, and Colton High School, class of 1993. You wrote it down, I gotta say it. But all of his degrees and certifications have come from local colleges, Cal State San Bernardino and University of Redlands, alumni right here too. And he crochets about once a week. Awesome, awesome. So great. One thing that I would say is Jeffrey is a born leader. He had a moment this year where his principal needed to step away, and it was a seamless transition that we heard from the community and staff, and just looking forward to him taking what he's learned from Mrs. Guer and his colleagues at Terrace View and to the next level. So I'll give you an opportunity to address the board.
Good evening. Thank you. So I did want to thank everyone. It will be brief. I only have about 45 minutes of comments. Those of you who know me, that's probably not a joke, but I'll keep it brief. So good evening, Mr. Board President Dan Flores, members of the board, and Superintendent Dr. Miranda, as well as everyone in the audience, guests, and family as well. I want to humbly thank you all for the faith you have instilled in me as your newest elementary principal for Colton Joint Unified. As a graduate of CJUSD, it is indeed an honor to come back home after working in Redlands for so long and be able to serve the community that I grew up in and who I serve now the grandchildren of the people that I grew up with. And I look forward to many more years serving as well. I look forward to helping all of our students and helping them achieve their full potential with your support and with all the support of my staff. I am and will always be eternally grateful for this opportunity, so thank you all very much. I would like to introduce my family. So I have some extended family here. So as Dr. Dade mentioned, Joanne Greer is my mentor and former boss as of today. So all my new bosses are still in the room. And then Dr. Judy Servin and Celine Workman, who have been also very helpful. I do have my father here and my husband. So my father, Ken, and my husband, King, are joining me as well. My mom couldn't make it. She's in Atlanta doing National Women's Club things. So, but I'm sure she's watching somewhere screaming on the teleprompter. So again, thank you very much, and I appreciate the opportunity to serve.
One more round of applause for Jeffrey, please. And that concludes my presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Wonderful. Thank you, Dr. Dade. And again, congratulations to all of our new management. We have a fantastic leadership, and we look excited. The future is bright for Colton Joint. Next item on our agenda is item 2.4. This is our employee recognition. So I will call Director Dr. Kathy Cervantes and Mr. Eric Enciso to come forward and lead us in our employee recognition.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. My name is Eric Enciso. I'm Director of Human Resources Classified, and as always, I am proud and happy to be up here to recognize our employees for the month of May. So first up, we're going to be recognizing a person who is very well known in the district as one of the hardest working individuals you'll find. If you ever have an event that needs to be evented, this is the person that does that so well. So to honor him is going to be Principal Neighbors for Mr. Lupe Montoya.
We have a lot of events at Grand Terrace, so I don't know if we want to volunteer them out. Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, members of the audience, and all of our community. The first time I met Lupe was at the ACSEA Mac Barbecue, where he was helped setting up, grilling, and doing many other things. As we all know, for him, it's pretty much doing everything. Between him, Anthony and him, I did get relegated to cooking the veggie patties, but I promise I'm still not bitter. To say I was impressed with his work ethic is an understatement. Everyone knows the saying, when you know, you know. And when you see him work, you know. And it was evident he was different. He was the type of person you want at your school site because he's going to make a positive impact. And luckily, fortunately, we were to have Lupe come to our school site this school year. And the change was immediate. Not only did he step up and become a leader at our school site, but his actions show that he was willing to do anything to make our school not only look, but truly feel great. I reached out to a few people, and they mentioned his dedication to the job as a whole and his willingness to go above and beyond set him apart from others. Another person said, Lupe is a perfectionist, I can vouch for that, giving all he's got for a cause he believes in, that the minute he got hired to CJUSD, every day for him was an interview, giving 100% no matter the task. He takes care of the school as it's his, the staff as his people, and the kids are his kids. Let me reread that. He takes care of the school as it's his school. The staff are his people, and the kids are his kids. That's truly what we want all of our employees to treat all of everybody at CJUSD. Not only is he a leader on campus, but he is also a site rep coordinator for CSEA Chapter 244 and appreciated by ACE for his support. I've also heard that maybe he's an ACE honorary member. Don't know if he pays dues. Don't ask me. I stay out of that. We are grateful to have Lupe at our site. His selflessness and willingness to do what is right are traits we should all strive to emulate and be like Lupe. So it's my honor, true honor, to introduce Lupe Martinez, or Montoya, for everything he's done, not only for our school site, but our district as well.
Thank you. For special day? No,
You have a special guest here, Lupe.
Special guest.
If you want to make it home tonight, you better introduce your special guest.
I got a very special guest, my wife. She's always behind me for everything I do. She's like, if I do something wrong, she's sit here and you're gonna do it right. So I'm serious. Oh, and one thing too, I did learn a lot when I did my Classified Leadership Academy. I learned a lot from that, and I do want to tell my classified members to do the Classified Academy. You learn a lot from that class. And Eric, you learned a lot. I learned a lot from that class. Thank you, sir. Shameless plug. Oh, no.
Another round of applause for Lupe Montoya. So I want to recognize two categories. These two individuals couldn't be here tonight. Is our certificated staff member, is Dr. Christine Whitmire, and she's at her son's graduation, so she couldn't make it. So we'll present her at the next board meeting. The other category that we want to present, but she's not here also, is our certificate of management, and that's Dr. Wendy Moore, director of LSS. So we present her at the next board meeting as well. In July. Our next category is our educational partner, and that is Rotolo Chevrolet. And at this time, we would like to invite Christy Padilla to introduce them, and she's the student services coordinator.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. It's my sincere honor to be able to recognize Mike Capozio and Rotolo Chevrolet as a model educational partner for the Colton Joint Unified School District. Their consistent and generous support has left a lasting impact on our students, schools, and broader community. Now in its 8th year, Rotolo has donated a brand new vehicle as the grand prize for the district's Tomorrow's Leaders celebration, an event that honors high school students who have demonstrated excellence in attendance, behavior, and academic performance. The car donation serves as a powerful motivator and symbol of achievement for hundreds of students across the district. This tradition began in 2016 under the leadership of Mike Capozio, then general manager of Rotolo Chevrolet. When Mike later became the owner of the dealership, he continued the tradition with enthusiasm, reaffirming Rotolo's commitment to giving back to the Colton community. His decision and that of the entire Rotolo team reflects the legacy of the dealer's founder, Mariano Rotolo, a proud graduate of Colton High School. Rotolo's generosity has elevated the Tomorrow's Leaders program to new heights. Their involvement not only provides students with a tangible reward, but also sends a strong message that the business community believes in our students' potential and their accomplishments. Thank you, Mike Capozio, for your impact is deeply felt and genuinely appreciated by the students, families, and educators of CJUSD. It's with sincere appreciation that we recognize you and Rotolo as an exceptional educational partner in our mission to support, inspire, and celebrate our students. Thank you.
And that concludes our presentation for this evening. Thank you.
Thank you. We appreciate it. All right. Oh, that's right. Okay, next item on our agenda is item 3.1. This is our public hearing. So at this time, I'm going to go ahead and open the public hearing for item 3.1, which is a proposed local control and accountability plan for 2025-26. And at this time, I do not have any cards for this specific item. Does anyone wish to speak on this item, this public hearing? All right, hearing none, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing for item 3.1. And that'll move us to item 3.2. This is the public hearing for the proposed budget for fiscal year 25-26 and fund balances above the minimum recommended reserve for economic uncertainties. So I will open that hearing. I do not have any speaker slips at this time. Does anybody else wish to speak on this item? All right, hearing none, we'll go ahead and close the public hearing for item 3.2. And this takes us to public comment. I do have a few speaker slips here with me. Again, just a reminder to folks, they're welcome to address the board on items that are either on the agenda or not on the agenda, but within the jurisdiction of the school district. I would simply ask that they keep their comments to 3 minutes. And while we cannot respond or converse, if appropriate, we'll certainly recommend that our staff follow up with you to follow through on any concerns that you might have. And our first public speaker for this evening is Ms. Melissa Rangel.
Cabinet and members of the community. My name is Melissa Rangel, and I'm the school counselor from Sycamore Hills Elementary. I'm here tonight on behalf of the staff of Sycamore Hills. We were recently informed that our current administrator, Dr. Lisa Manez, will be leaving her position as our principal. I want to acknowledge this transition with respect. As a staff, we agree that change can foster growth, and while this is not a call to retain Dr. Manez, it is also not a celebration of her departure. Rather, it's an opportunity, a critical one, for us to share what kind of leadership we believe our school truly needs moving forward. Shortly after the announcement, Human Resources met with our team to ask what we were looking for in our next principal. We appreciated the opportunity to speak candidly and later followed up with emails summarizing our shared vision. We're hoping the person selected to lead Sycamore embodies the following qualities. Someone who is student-centered, prioritizing the academic, social, and emotional needs of all students. A strong communicator, clear, respectful, and genuinely listening to staff, students, and families. Someone who is visible and approachable, present in classrooms and on campus, not just in the office. A collaborative leader who values team input, supports professional development, and fosters a positive culture. A person who understands the importance of counseling and social-emotional learning and backs it up with action. Someone who is empathetic, culturally responsive, instructionally knowledgeable, and ethically grounded. And above all, someone who is solution-oriented, emotionally intelligent, and ready to lead with both compassion and competence. As a dedicated staff, we are committed to continuing the progress and growth we have worked hard to achieve. Our current assistant principal, Tamara Moyers, has played a significant role in that development. We respectfully ask that our collective voice be considered as we advocate for what we believe is the best interest of our students and school community. We strongly believe that appointing Ms. Moyers as our next principal would provide a seamless transition and ensure the continued momentum of our school's advancement. Her leadership has already proven effective in fostering student success and promoting community engagement. We are confident that her continued presence in a leadership role will support our mission to serve our students with excellence and strengthen our partnership with the broader community. Thank you for your time and consideration. And we want to leave a letter signed by several members of our staff with you as well.
Thank you, we appreciate that. Our next speaker is Mr. Adam Angulo.
Thank you. Good evening. My name is Adam Angulo, and I proudly served as community liaison at Zimmerman Elementary School this year. I'm here tonight because I believe in transparency, accountability, and the shared responsibility to create safe, respectful environments for both students and staff. Earlier this week, I submitted my formal resignation to Human Resources, along with documentation outlining ongoing concerns related to a hostile work environment under the leadership at Zimmerman. I want to be clear, this isn't just about me. I stepped into this role to uplift families, build bridges between schools and home, and help children feel seen and supported. But instead, I found myself in an environment where I was yelled at, closely monitored, and made to feel unsafe while doing the very work I was hired to do. I documented everything. I submitted a detailed timeline of events, an incident report, and my year-end reflection. I followed district policy, sought union guidance, and took every professional step before deciding to speak publicly today. If you want to understand the true impact of my presence at Zimmerman, I invite you to ask the parents, ask the families who saw me every morning, who worked with me through workshops, programs, and events. They know the heart I brought to this position and how deeply I cared about serving their children. The truth is, I love this job. I saw myself doing this work for a very long time, but knowing the principal will return next year with the same unchecked authority and that I would be expected to return to a toxic environment, I had to make the difficult choice to leave. I'm not looking to be disrespected in the workplace, and no one should be. This isn't about revenge, it's about responsibility. When good staff walk away, not because they're unwilling, but because they're unprotected, we lose something valuable. We lose trust, we lose community connection, and we lose sight of what school should be about, supporting the students. I urge this board to take a serious look into the leadership climate at Zimmerman and across the district. Staff need safeguards, families need reassurance, and young scholars deserve adults who are allowed to do their jobs without fear or intimidation. I respectfully ask that my submitted documentation be thoroughly reviewed and that the board explore ways to strengthen staff protections going forward. I remain committed to this community and to the students we all serve. I look forward to the future where every school site is a place of safety, respect, and inspiration. Thank you for your time and for listening, and I hope this makes the beginning of a meaningful reflection and necessary change. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Angelo. And I'm going to go ahead and defer to Dr. Miranda and Dr. Dade. Presume that we do have the information as well as his contact information. We'll follow through appropriately. Thank you. Okay. Our next speaker is Ms. Lisa Villa.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Lisa Villa, and I reside in Colton. Just off the topic, I think it's funny that I never get addressed that my concerns mean anything. You just say thank you. But everybody else gets, you're going to contact Dr. Miranda to contact me, get my phone number. I've never been asked to be talked to. So I think that's highly disrespectful. As you know by now, I love my Colton community. I love them enough to leave the security job that I truly love so that I can speak up even more. I recently attended your retirement dinner that you held for the retirees to hear how much you care about us. But your actions proved different for me. I wanted to believe that you cared about me and what I have done to help with student success, but you allowed me to be harassed to the point that I had to leave for the sake of my dignity. I did question when I paid for the ticket for the retiree dinner as to why I was paying it towards the Leaders of Tomorrow Foundation. Was it a fundraiser? It's inappropriate to have a fundraiser for the retirement dinner. I also purchased raffle tickets, which baffled me because we had a whole football booster situation that ended up with me being the face of the dismantling of the football booster. Having raffles was apparently a big no-no, even though we had been buying raffle tickets from Colton football for decades. Clearly, there are standards for people and not for some people and not for others. As I navigate this journey that I'm on to heal the harassment that myself and my family received, that you allowed, I will continue to shed light on many things that need to be fixed. Just as you had a job to do, I feel as me being someone that people in my community trust, so I myself also have an obligation to continue to help my community to at least get the basics for us. I apologize. If it is not what you want to hear, you should want to hear feedback. Instead, the leaders of our district get upset when we address something. You should be welcoming our feedback. You should serve the communities I'm a very nice person, but that does not mean you should be mad at me for speaking up. I try to tell you privately, as friends, as a coworker, and an employee, and it went nowhere. I had endless meetings with Dr. Ortiz, endless meetings with John Sachs, with many concerns, and it went nowhere. So this is where we're at, and no disrespect intended, but I have 3 decades of district experience. I have been on the front lines, and I know how it all works. And what I bring to the table as a parent, as an employee, and as a community person, you should be using as an asset instead of a threat. All of your talking of how much you care about students and our staff does not match your actions. The unnecessary decisions that are made on a daily basis. Today as we speak, I am appalled to know that our head of security is in beautiful Canada for a top-of-the-line conference that cost the district $182,000 to be a part of, to be taking $182,000 away from the district's pocketbook that should be going towards students. John Sachs should be demanding for $182,000 to go towards the purchase of new radios for the security department because communication is vital. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Sevilla. We appreciate your comments. Next speaker is Juanita Moore. Yes, Ms. Moore, thank you.
Good evening, can you hear me? Good afternoon, Board President Dan Flores, Superintendent Dr. Frank Miranda, esteemed members of the board and the community. I know you guys have seen me around. If you don't know me, I'm pretty sure I've introduced myself, but I'm Jonita Moore. I'm your PACER. I work for the California School Board Association, with which you are a member, and I am essentially here to make sure you have a good communication and a good understanding of the policies that are going forward that are going to affect the local education communities. I wanted to come here today. I try to visit every district, of course, and it's funny because I live closest to this district. Mine graduated with Grand Terrace, and the young man on the video montage at the very end who threw up all of his regalia, he was one of my first students when I was a teacher. So his name is Jaden, and he has been that way since he was in kindergarten. But I wanted to just come and make sure that you knew that what I was here for and that I was available. I want to make sure that you are connected to trainings, anything CSBA has to offer, but also legislative information. Most of the PACERs, every region has a PACER. I'm Region 16, you're Region 16. I cover all of San Bernardino County and Inyo County, so I have the largest square mileage, but the lowest, I would not say the second lowest density. So I can make it. It may take me 6 hours to get to Needles, but I can be there at least once a year. So I serve both those communities, but I have been an advocate in my community for a long time. Like I said, I was a teacher for 10 years, and right before I became your local lobbyist, is what they would call me, I was a campaign manager for a judge who was previously a school board member. So I have seen many campaigns. I want to congratulate you on your new culinary building. I think that is awesome, supporting your CTE pathway. Big advocate for that. The outstanding work of your yearbook class at Joe Baca, that was awesome to hear. I think I emailed you guys about that too. That was great to see. The influence and diligence of your input at Sandav's, Dr. Miranda and Board President Flores. I love seeing you guys there because it is a unique perspective that we don't always have. You know, San Bernardino County is huge, so we want to make sure that we're all heard. And of course, for the California Department of Ed naming Silver Mountain High School as a model continuation high school, I think that's amazing. And yeah, I just wanted to say congratulations on a successful year, successful bond passing, and thank you for all your hard work, even if personally just for Jaden and for my nephew. I appreciate you. Thank you.
Jonita, thank you so much. Thank you for your advocacy and the work that you do on behalf of us. So we really appreciate it. Thank you. All right. Those are all the public comment speaker slips I have for this evening's meeting. So we will go ahead and close public comment. And that takes us to our administrative presentations. And our first administrative presentation of the evening is item 5.1. This is the 2025-26 Local Control and Accountability Plan and District Budget, so our LCAP and budget. So I will call on our Assistant Superintendents, Mr. Fromm and Dr. Peterson, to give this presentation. Sounds like we're going to start with the Ed Services side, right? So
starting with the LCAP.
All right, we're going to do LCAP and then we'll roll into the budget. Okay, sounds good.
And members of the audience and the executive cabinet, It is my pleasure to be here tonight with Director Murphy and our business services team to start with our local control and accountability plan, which I know is your favorite presentation every year. So here we go. A lot of information here. We're going to try and go through this quickly. We know you have a copy of this too, so we're going to just go ahead and get started. I'm going to jump right in with changes this year. And so you can see the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant, due to a lawsuit at the state, is now included as basically being reported in the LCAP as a goal, even though it's technically not in the LCAP. And so long-term English learners are accounted for separately. Our LCFF equity multiplier schools based on 70% low income and greater than a 25% non-stability, which is a transitional rate. It makes you an equity multiplier school. We have some new schools this year, and then it includes required actions to address the lowest performance. In this case, it would have been red on our dashboard for any of the state indicators. For the all student group at a school level, for the district for a student group level, and then student group within a school. And so those are the tweaks and changes that have happened, because they have those every year. So I wanted to give you a little bit of history on the LCAP, and I thought they actually provided us these next couple slides at the county, and I thought you guys might appreciate this as well, having been here all these years and seen this. And so just wanted to give a brief history. So in 2013, the LCAP was introduced as part of the LCFF. In 2014 was when we were required to adopt our first 3-year LCAP. 2015, they actually added the 8 state priorities so that you had to make sure that you accounted for all of that. 2016, they added the requirement for unduplicated population, so the focus on English learners, foster youth, and low-income students. 2017, they added the California dashboard, which then, of course, 2018, you add the CSI requirements for those schools that did not do well on the dashboard. 2019, they added the budget overview for parents. They felt parents had a hard time understanding the budget pieces in there. I don't think they made it easier to understand what the budget overview for parents, but they tried, but we're trying. 21, sorry, the thing's in front of that right there. They revised the annual update. That's the year during the pandemic where we actually did kind of 2 LCAPs in 1 year with the learning continuity plan. And in 2022, they added specific goal requirements and action tables, and then added additional requirements for the increased or improved services. 2023, they added a student advisory, and then the ability to add specific goals or broad goals to your work. And then in 2024, you have the pile up on the 10, and 2024, you notice the truck piece there. This is what they added. The mid-year update, the annual update to the LCAP, new fields to goals, the equity multiplier goals. It required us to complete the annual performance on the dashboard, technical assistance section, and you can see all the different areas there, which is when I started having a partner come up and do the presentation with us. And so you can see over the years, just the amount of detail and information that goes into the LCAP as our district plan. And so I want to reflect a little bit on our successes this year. I think one of the things I'm most proud of across the district for everyone is that on the dashboard, all indicators showed improvement. The continued design plan implementation, BHS and Slover Mountain had successful WASP visits. We had the revalidation of AVID as a national demonstration school for Bloomington High School. The early college program is now in process at all of our schools. Our focus on English learners and the TEL process and our mental health supports, and down the list there you can see, I think it's been a really successful year that we've had, and looking forward to continuing that in the next year. And so identified needs, we have our 4 subgroups that were in differentiated assistance that we're working hard to support our English learners, students with disabilities, African American, and foster youth. Our continued focus on EL and English learners and our differentiation. And then the last 4, English, math, chronic absenteeism, and graduation rate, those are our dashboard categories. So I think those will always be there because we always want to continue to do better. And so we're looking to continue growing there. And so just to give you a quick look at the LCAP budget, the total LCAP supplemental and concentration grants this year for next year total $76.1 million. And then we have new equity multiplier funds that Director Murphy will review with you for the three new schools of $1.2 million. And so I'm going to turn it over to Director Murphy right now to go through our goals and actions, and then we'll go from there.
I think you can see when my boss refers to something as a truck wreck on the highway, you can understand why writing the LCAP does not fill my bucket every time I sit down to do it. But when we get to work with the different groups who look at the data, who give their feedback, who say their desired wants and needs and what they want to see continue, like that fills my bucket, especially when I see those words are brought to life in this document. We work with our staff members through our steering committee and our writing committee. We meet with our parents so we can hear them and what they are feeling like needs to continue, it needs to be improved. And then obviously we meet with our students at the secondary level, and so they can talk with us also about what's working well and what is not. And so what I want to do is to walk us through the different LCAP goals. So you can see the metrics. And the metrics have not changed at all since last year, but you can see what we've done is started adding in the outcomes that we have. And equitable access for all is really about what we can do to close that achievement gap. And you can see in here that we've increased in all of our metrics after 1 year in all but one. We also want to talk about the funding that we're doing for these different goals. And you see here we're highlighting when we're closing the achievement gap of really looking at what type of support are we giving for our EL students, AVID, and for our CTE and pathways, which all are things which keep coming out from our community and from our students and staff, as these are things important they want to see continue, and they know that that goes and it contributes to all of their success. And so we feel that like showing you maybe a 260-page document is not the most thrilling thing to go through and read, but we wanted to go through and to bring this to life. And so you can see here's last year's Bloomington High School valedictorian, and you can see obviously she's gone through and she's met all the requirements for A through G completion. And our Colton High School students at an honor assembly. And our Grand Terrace High School students, and they were, I love this display of what they're doing to prepare for their honor roll. We have our AVID people who are going and being so celebrated for moving AVID to school and district-wide implementation. Our Joe Baca Middle School students on a college field trip. These are Bloomington High School graduates who have come back to a Joe Baca Middle School classroom to recruit for AVID and also to talk about what it leads to in success. Our Colton High School students going on their college road trip, spring break. You see here we have our STEAM Expo going on. This is, Terrace Hills Middle School, where we have our CTE pathway with the students at lunchtime. And we see ELD instruction going on at various elementary schools. Our dual immersion program is heavily funded through the LCAP. And these are our dual immersion teachers being trained in GLAD. And while we did provide them with chairs to sit in at this training, you can see their passion, like they're getting down on the floor, developing their posters to take back to their students. You can see our Colton High School pathway students. And what I think is exciting is when I look closely at this, I'm like, those are QTEL strategies they're doing there with our students. Our GTHS engineering pathway students. This I think is super cool. This is obviously principal neighbors over at Grand Terrace High School. If you notice, and Kari Harvey also, but if you notice that they're holding up a sign that has been cut out by Colton High School welding students in a joint pathway activity that is going to be put on display at the battery plant that's close by in Grand Terrace. We have our HEAL students hard at work. This 2,000 students brought together in our district with instruments funded by the LCAP. This is also from the LCAP, where you see our high school students. They've gone to the Pantages Theater to see a Harry Potter play. So goal number 2 is really talking about student achievement and making sure that our students are prepared for college and career. And what we're really doing is if you see here in the metrics, you see that we've increased the performance already in most of the areas. And the bulk of the funded items are going towards math, science, and ELA achievement. And so to bring this to life so you can see this in action and see that we really do believe in this work, we have our GATE Family Night, where we have only over 150 parents in attendance learning about the GATE program and participating in different educational games. At Grant Elementary School, we have students participating in GATE activities. Our induction program, these teachers who are part of our induction program, mentoring others, they went through an 8-day cognitive coaching training, and you can see here that they graduated from the program ready to serve, and as Christina Parachi says, like, offer the best induction program in the area. A lot of our money also goes towards the library, where you can see that we have books in different languages, in different formats for our students to read in. This is Colton Middle School. Their MESA students are preparing for the balloon activity, our science fair that I know you all go to, technology support, and their one-to-one devices, which is all funded from the LCAP. We have teachers on assignment, and you see some of our teachers on assignment are in the classroom working with students, but you also see them participating in professional development with other teachers. And you see Ms. Rodriguez at Crestmore Elementary working with a small group of students. Goal number 3, I think our parents probably love this the most because they see how much we believe in the whole child and how we're building up on that. And you see here that the metrics also are showing improvement in all but one area. And in the wellness area, we're really focusing on physical and mental wellness, PBIS support, and busing, which is so important to our Slover and Bloomington High School students. And you can see here the focus on attendance, because we know our kids need to be at school in order to learn. Our elementary school counselors, our students participating in PBIS rewards. This is Colton Middle School, where they're engaging in a boys empowerment project. Crestmore, Pizza with the Principal, celebrating PBIS, and our students at Colton High School redeeming their PBIS points, and our busing, which is so essential to our students. This is Colton High School Wellness Fair, as well as Colton Middle School students participating in wellness activities at lunchtime. Goal number 4 is focusing on family and community engagement, and you see that most of these metrics are baseline, and we're just establishing the criteria for that. But if you really take notice at the numbers of the attendance at our parents' events, you can see that there's been an increase in all of those areas, which we're really pleased about. And you see in these areas, we're really focusing on what are we doing to support our families and how we're communicating and interacting with our families, as well as obviously our district community liaisons. And you'll see Mr. Perez as he's working with our ROTC students. We have Maria Christina interpreting at a San Bernardino Valley College workshop. We have our parents engaged in a suicide prevention workshop, as well as a Dreamer and Immigrant Support Workshop for our families over at San Bernardino Valley College. These are our dual immersion parents. They take a tour of the different dual immersion schools so they can see what's going on in the classrooms. And as Dr. Peterson talked about before, we have our equity multiplier schools. And as a reminder, these schools went into equity multiplier status because of their social mobility rate. Dr. Peterson, and their transiency rate. I'm sorry that I needed to phone a friend briefly on that, and she telepathically sent me the answer for that. But I really want to highlight with this, these schools did nothing to get them into trouble, and I think they feel when I give them a call and explain to them their status, they feel like they did something wrong, and they didn't do anything wrong. The money was given to us, and to really look at our data to see what we can support the students who are in these different groups. And so, like, in no way do I want anyone to think that they're in any type of difficulty. In fact, we had one principal who came to an LCAP meeting who realized how much money they were getting, and they were like, how do I become one? I'm like, you don't really want to become one. But Slover Mountain High School is one of these, and the county has advised us that what we need to do is to focus on the areas of red. That's what we need to be setting our goals for. And so, like, this is the first year that they've gone through and they've worked on this. They've had a learning specialist at their school. They've had a wellness center person. They've had a community liaison, and this year they're adding in science lab supplies. But they're really pleased when we've looked at the data in, I think it was in April, I met with them, and seeing the internal data of what has happened at their schools so far has been very impressive. Washington High School is also an equity multiplier school, and again, they're really focusing on that wellness center at their school, a community liaison. Their staff, when they looked at their data, their educational partners felt that multilingual instructional support as well as PD activities were really going to support the students in those areas. And you see their community, the wellness center, when they were presenting at Community Cabinet, which has really been a benefit to the school and to our students. Last year, our African-American students qualified through this. It was kind of a little number discrepancy there. We do keep them in this year in the LCAP only because they didn't expend all of their money yet. I think they have about $7,000 left. So they're no longer receiving money in moving forward, but we are expected to report on this until the money is gone. Wilson Elementary School also no longer qualifies for equity multiplier status. They did last year, and they really focused on TOAs to really focus on interventions in ELA and math. And again, when Dr. Coelho went through the data as to what has happened with these students' reading and math levels, very impressed with what's happening with their work. Cooley Ranch Elementary School has just entered equity multiplier status, and what they are doing after a close look with all of their staff at their data is really focusing on restorative practices and that support for teachers and really that first best instruction in math and ELA, and contracting with a behavior technician to help out with the behaviors at the school. Dr. Peterson also talked before about now we're bringing in the Learning Recovery Emergency Block Grant into the LCAP to report on. And the funded items for this really are focusing on that counseling and mental health support, which we felt like is so essential. ELA, literacy, and math support, really, again, working as a district of what we're doing for first best initial instruction, and also focusing on credit recovery.
All right, next is our local indicator information, and so these are the kind of the priorities, state priorities that are not necessarily in the LCAP. And so priority 1 discusses the teachers, instructional materials, and facilities. So those are our Williams compliance issues that we talk about in that. Priority 2 is implementation of state and academic standards. This was done through a survey of our curriculum councils. Priority 3, the parent involvement and family engagement. We provided a survey to our parents that reported out information for this. Our school climate, which was focused on our school climate survey, and then access to a broad course of study, just the fact that we have open access to sites and courses across the district. And so the local indicators, if you remember from last year, this will come into the next board meeting as an administrative report, and so we report it separately from the LCAP as an administrative report, and then we submit it separately in July. And then finally, we did have some budget reductions this year, and so I want to kind of go through when we started the year, due to some declining enrollment and not knowing what the COLA was going to be, and at the state level. We knew that there was with increases in salaries and benefits and the raises we gave the last 2 years, the LCAP is 80 to 90%, 80 to 85 or more percent people. And so we were worried when we started the year what it was going to look like. And so it was not enough. The increase in the COLA was not enough to offset the increase in salaries and benefits. So the budget this year was decreased from $76.8 million to $76.1. I worked with the LCAP steering committee. We worked with the LCAP steering committee the first semester, outlining possible reductions. And as I said, we did not know what it was going to look like. I thought it could be anywhere up to several $1 million to $10 million. And so we acted with that in mind in our meetings and said, if we had to do this, what would we do? So we spent all first semester working on a plan for that if that came to fruition. And worked with that. Luckily, it did not. And when we came out of it, it was just over $1 million. And then we found out a few weeks ago, we got $300,000 of that back. So the total reduction this year was only $780,000. The good news, most of that is doesn't affect people, and we were really able to make this reduction without hurting programs as well. And so the activity centers that we had, which is our playgrounds, actually are no longer able to be funded through the LCAP. They're not contributing, so that was an easy reduction to make. Middle school intramurals, we found new funding in the expanded learning fund, so $130,000 there. And then our visual and performing arts, the past 2 years, we've added $500,000 to that fund prior to Prop 28, knowing that we wanted them to go really attack the art plan. And so then as the Prop 28 funds came in the arts, music, and instruction grant, we could decrease those funds as needed at that point. Originally, we had pulled $300,000 out. We were going to leave $200,000. We were able to put $200,000 back in when the numbers dropped. So we're happy that it's only a $100,000 reduction. So they'll have another year with that $300,000 of funding. And again, $3.4 million is still in the LCAP for arts, for visual and performing arts, $2.2 million in the arts, music, and instructional grant, and $3.2 for Prop 28 funds that they continue to use. And then finally, professional development without subs was $50,000, and this can be funded through other grants and titles, and even within other LCAP areas that we have. And so all total, very happy that the reductions were pretty minimal this year, and we're looking forward to hopefully some better outcomes next year, but we'll start the year the same way the first semester, looking at ways to redo those things without touching positions. And so just in closing, this year's LCAP will be, or next year's LCAP will be year 2 of the 3-year plan. We are as always, committed to continue implementing it and providing those services to our students. Really proud of the work that's been done this year and the results we've gotten across the board. And just want to thank everybody. This really does take a village to do all this, and so really want to thank everybody that played a part in that. Our LCAP email address is there in case anyone wants to send us an email that way. And then just as always, love this slide at the end because this is why we do what we do. And so we can answer any questions the board may have now.
A lot packed into that presentation. I know there are some questions and comments, so let me go ahead and kick it to my colleagues first. Questions, comments about the LCAP? Board Member Bertha Flores? Yep.
That was a lot. That was a lot of information. And thank you, because 168 pages of this, I had a chance to go through it, and it's, I know. Hey, I do keep that on my bedside. So I just want to thank you because it's evident that you took a lot of time, and I'm sure you had a team working, and Dr. Peterson with your leadership. I think this LCAP should be a model for the county and for the state. That's my opinion. So, but I did have some questions about the African American Goal 7, and that I just had a question about, it says it deals with suspension rates, and it says it the baseline was 9.0 to 9.4. So that's an area that we need to.
Yes, and we are in differentiated assistance with our African American subgroup. It's one of the reasons this year we did a lot of professional development on site. We did the empathy interviews. What was the presentation? Dr. Clark has been doing presentations throughout the year.
Yeah.
Continuing to do that work.
Okay. Now the next slide, it says no longer receiving funding. What does that mean?
So this was kind of the one-off last year. They found a student at the district office and they did this at a couple districts, where the state actually assigned one student to the district office and gave us $50,000. And we were like, what do we do with this? Because it's not. And they said, pick a group. And so because we knew that they were in differentiated assistance, and we knew we were doing the work with our African American students, this allowed us to do a lot of the field trips and things that we were able to do with our students this year. And so that's what we selected with that.
Okay, thank you for that. And also, I just want to just, I really think that you've focused on the actual needs of our students. You've been able to identify those students, and I'm sure that starting this new school year, we are going to be focusing on those groups, the ELs, the African American, the foster youth, those that need the most help. And through the document, I see that over and over again, you have allocated funding and you have strategies to address those. And so we're hoping to see growth in those, with those kids that need it the most.
Director Murphy is leading the coordination of the Summer Institute with Dr. Moore. And so a lot of cultural and character building pieces and knowing your students, understanding your students and things like that are being discussed in that Summer Institute. So it should be a really, really exciting, really fun couple of days to provide some professional learning to our students so that we understand the needs of our students and are able to support them.
Graduation rate is 86, it was 86, it went up to 87.3. Is that correct?
Last year's number, so we're hoping, fingers crossed, in the next, we get some good news that we're getting close to that, at least 90%, and then we'll go from there to 95.
Okay, and the summer school, I read that due to the summer school that was offered, we were able to get our graduation rates up. There's an example, Colton High School, the ELs increased by from 64.6 to 84.8. The homeless youth, 66.7 to 85. The foster, they went down from 75 to 64. And students with disabilities, 53.3 to 72.3. So that's a good sign that we're going in the right direction. So it's a lot, and I thank you so much for your work that you put into this.
Very exciting to me.
Very well written. It shows where we're at, and it shows clearly where we're going and what we're focusing on. So thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Bertha Flores. Board Member Ibarra, did you have questions, please?
Okay, just want to say thank you. Again, that was very informative, and I did get the opportunity to read it and go through it. Though it looked like in many of the areas we start showing improvement, which is what we're looking for. I did pick up where you mentioned that we were going to be minus $780,000 in funding, and though it looked like we could offset that that funding in some of the areas that we would lose funding for, like intramurals, theater, and so forth. You did mention the fact that you were anticipating maybe something a little bit higher as far as the amount of money that we may be minus. Now, when you mentioned that, it just came to my mind that are we anticipating in the years to come that we may continue losing funding every year for the LCAP?
Factors that go into that, and so I can't say for sure that we anticipate it, but we definitely want to prepare for it just in case, so that we're being proactive. We're trying to be proactive as well to make sure that, again, it's not going to touch people, and so that's the work that we're doing with that.
So, when you talk about touching people, we're talking about positions, employee positions. What about affecting the students? I know that in Colton, intramurals, theater, music programs, all those that we're going to be trying to figure out how we're going to fund, because we're losing that money. It affects our students. And that's where my concern is with this, if it's going to be something that, what is our plan if, say, next year it does fall into the categories that you were mentioning? Because if I recall, you were saying that you're looking at maybe being minus, a little bit more than 780,000. Yeah.
I look at like worst case, beyond worst case scenario, so that I'm one that prepares for the cliff. Had the state gone off the cliff of everything and not funded anything, so that's what I tend to prepare like, in the hopes that we don't have to do that. And luckily this year, and I expect us to be okay for the next few years, but I also have to plan as if that's a possibility. So.
Okay.
Intramural sports, we fund that through ELOP, which is Extended Learning Opportunities. The state funds that at the highest level right now of $1.8 billion. And the VAPA is through Prop 28 as well. So those are restricted programs that drive different dollars in outside of the normal LCAP dollars of LCFF.
With that being said, taking a look at, and I hate to always looking at this, but, it's right in front of us. I would anticipate that our district's going to lose or potentially lose up to about 16% of federal funding for our district. And I think that, as the time goes on, this body is going to have to be in a position to have to make some very tough decisions of what programs that we're going to have to keep, special ed, et cetera, versus those that we're going to have to eliminate in order to fund those. So what I'm looking for right now is just what are some of the strategies are we going to use in order for us to anticipate if the years that come in the next 2-3 years are a little bit leaner as far as funding, and how are we going to approach that?
And one of the things we look at is, and one of the things we're starting to look at is evaluation of what we are spending money on. And so is it having the desired, that's why each metric lines up to each action. Is it having the desired effect, and is it being effective? And at that point, if it's not, then we're actually required by the county to remove it if it's not. So we have that in the LCAP for that. As we said, we have ELOP, and then we had the other funding that we're finding in for intramurals, we're finding other funding sources that are able to take care of that through, whether it's grants, things like that. And so we're looking at, that's what we look for, is what can we do that has the least amount of impact on students and people and our employees, so that we can continue to do the great things that we're doing.
Yes.
What I'll add to that, and as Greg will come up and talk about the budget and see how healthy it is at this time, what we talk about, because, and Greg will show the decline in enrollment that we've been talking about for years, it's making sure that ADA goes up, because we get funded based on enrollment only. A lot of what's driven by, the LCAP is driven by what's called our unduplicated pupil percentage. That's what funds us. We're high percentage district for that. We're 86, 87%. In fact, that's increased significantly over the years. So here's the deal, though. As long as we continue to adjust when we decline enrollment for staffing and for those of what we've been doing over the last several years, we've offered a employee retirement incentive. We've brought resolutions to the board for alignment of the staffing. We've worked with our unions rigorously to bring those items to the board, which we will continue to do so this next year. So our strategy is really that alignment in, the items that are mentioned in the LCAP here. A lot of these items get placed in the LCAP to help offset some expenditures within the general fund. Well, that's because we need to spend down some of the money. As Tina looks at me pretty serious there. It's and so those things get we move them back to the general fund when necessary. So it's a fluid process going back and forth. Cabinet, in fact, one of our priorities that we just identified, Cabinet Retreat, is for sure the budget. And during good times is when you prepare for winter, the clouds with what's happening. You'll see again the budget coming up here. It's healthy. However, the LCFF, which is the main source revenue generator for our district, we've seen drops in COLAs that the state projects 2.9, and then they drop it down, and so we certainly have to adjust for those in tying up our budgets. Our district staffing ratios are pretty healthy too, 80% around there. When you start getting to 90% is when you start having issues. 85% is kind of where we're at with, 85% in the LCAP. So, but like you said, Mr. Barr, we have prepared for that. I've had asked Greg, who leads our budget, obviously, we have a plan, the budget plus the LCAP. However, we also have a plan that he's developing over the summer. We close the books in September, and so then, or in August rather, and so then we look at the fallout there to see where we're at. So it's just fluid, it's just constant monitoring and adjusting. So,
and the reason why I asked the question is also has a lot to do with the progress we're making. It's really good progress, but when I take a look at what programs we're looking to have difficulty funding, I'm thinking that these particular programs help that progress. It motivates our students, because our students get motivated in a variety of different ways. And, what can we do to continue providing these type of services to our students so that the progress that we're seeing can continue to move forward and so forth. And that's why I asked that question.
Mr. Barr, I will, when I'm done presenting, ask me that question again, because I can have a detailed explanation of how we handle that situation and that. But once I don't want to hijack the end of her presentation, but I can ask me that one at the end and way to approach that process.
No, it's just about us as a district being totally prepared, and that's what I'm getting at, that we want to be prepared, and I always mention it. I don't want to go back to what we experienced in 07 and be in that type of boat. And I just want to make sure that we're going to be solvent and we're going to continue to provide the services that are helping our students improve on every aspect of their education. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barra. Other questions or comments from board members? Just two quick questions on my part, or I guess one comment and one question. First, I love the parent participation, parent engagement piece. Obviously, that's critical to the success of our students. And what I see is fantastic when it comes to focusing on mental health and engaging our parents in a way that they understand how their participation supports the students. But as of late, I'm spending a lot more time trying to just read and understand some of the challenges that we're facing, both here, I think, as our community, and of course, nationally. The other indicator of success of students is not, yes, parent engagement, but so is economic upward mobility, right? So as you go up and up the economic ladder, you tend to see better outcomes in terms of students, right? So poverty, we're in a battle against poverty, and beginning to think about ways to engage our parents about their own economic upward mobility. We have a number of parents in our district, a lot of parents, maybe a majority of our parents that are underemployed, meaning they're in jobs that pay insufficient wages, they're having to work longer hours, maybe take multiple jobs, and that is why they're not able to be engaged in more of their students' education. Again, not to get into the details of what's on the news these days, but we are seeing huge gaps between the haves and have-nots. And the spending power that we have as working families is not what it once was. So I guess this is just more of a policy conversation that I'd like to have as we start to formulate conversations around what topics we're going to really focus on with our parents. The fact that we have a burgeoning adult program and we graduated not only folks with high school diplomas, but CNAs at the same time just a few weeks ago. And their stories were literally, I had a job as a sub with the district. I couldn't become a full-time employee with benefits because I didn't have a high school diploma. Now I do, and now I can. That's transformative, right? Now you're a full-time employee, benefits, retirement, time off when you have holidays and vacation. So that economic mobility is going to be key if we're really serious about helping our families succeed and our students. So again, Dr. Miranda, I know it's a big topic and a big thing to address, but I really hope as we look at engaging our parents that we not be afraid to talk about that we understand that we can help them with all of it's great to help your kid with homework, it's great to go to the parent-teacher conference, but how many of our parents can't go because they're working at a warehouse till midnight, and then they're sleep for a few hours and get up and do another shift at some other place at 6 in the morning. So, we need to, that's a reality. And so we're going to have to find a way to help change that. So that's my thought on that. The question I did have, though, shifting gears, different direction, VAPA, Visual Performing Arts, obviously we have some funding there. What I'm noticing in my tour of school sites is VAPA is unique because the environment is so important to the success of that program, whether it's theater and having enough space to practice, music, practice rooms, art rooms. Unfortunately, a lot of our spaces are inadequate. Are we able to use some of these VAPA dollars and for things like improving spaces? Obviously, we need equipment, instruments, and the things that go along with our visual and performing arts programs, but how do we start to tackle that? And I know we've got a separate plan in part, but the facility piece is kind of an in-betweener, right? Traditionally, that falls under, we go in and we have to fix the building. But in this case, the facility piece is also the program piece. Like if you don't have a proper practice room, if you don't have space to store instruments, a place to perform, then you can't really teach. And our teachers do amazing things with some really tough spaces. So where does that fall in this conversation? Whoever wants to take it, yeah. Sorry.
We do use those categoricals.
Microphone.
So we do that. So I do know in Prop 28, Owen has gotten some dollars there to help upgrade some facilities, but there's not a lot there. But in ELAF, we do too as well. We've been replacing portables, doing things along the line with that because that's the after-school program, and we're using our facilities to do the after-school program. So we do. We're using a lot more in the ELAP. We get funding there to use that, but we also, with Prop 28 as well, we try to do the best we can. But there's more dollars in ELAP to do that, and we have been doing that.
Specifically to improve the physical spaces that our students are in and the teachers? Okay.
Yes, correct.
Well, again, I think that's going to be an integral part of our success with the visual and performing arts is giving the appropriate space and equitable. So, newer schools tend to have a little more space. Older schools, it's a little tough. But it also speaks to the safety. I've seen spaces where you've got practice rooms and spaces where, they're off in a corner down a dark hallway and you can't see what's going on. So well-lit windows installed indoors so that we can see what's going on and that it's a layout that's appropriate for our students and our school sites. So lots of work to do, so I appreciate that. Yeah.
And it also helps us stretch our bond dollars, right? When we can attach a little bit of ELAP or Prop 28 onto a project, that has our bond dollars go a lot further too. So we always look to get alternative funding, matching funding, to try to extend those dollars as well.
Thank you, appreciate it. That's all I have, so I think, are we ready to jump into the budget portion? All right. All right, Mr. Fromm, you're up.
I have to say, I'm feeling a little bit better about myself because it's usually when I start to present, the room clears out This time it was when Dr. Peterson came up. So that's once a year when she goes before me that I get to feel good about myself because it's not me clearing out the room and that. So here we are, starting a new budget cycle. 25-26 school year is upon us in a few weeks. So we need to first start off how we're ending this year. So in this budget, we have a column for estimated actuals. So here are some key things that are put in there that help drive the out years in our multiple year projections. It includes in there the 2.5 off schedule bonus that all employees are going to get. We updated our estimates for how we're going to close with revenue and expenditures. Final report on enrollment for 18,414 students and our P2 attendance at 17,079. And we have 1/4 of a child too in there at 0.25. So when we go to build our multi-year projections, it's based off assumptions and that, and where we are in time. So this is the main assumptions this is built off of. There's a couple I really want to point out to you. Our COLA came in at 2.3%. Next year in 26-27 fiscal year, it's projected at 3.02, and 27-28 at 3.42. Now, financial experts in the state, some of them are saying that's a projection that's too high and could come in lower, and that's an at-risk there, and that just wanted to point that out. In fact, school services do their own projections, and they currently have theirs a little bit lower than that. But those aren't set yet. It's a projection based where we are today, so I just wanted to point that piece out as well. And we have our enrollment, which is going down. Our ADA is going down with enrollment, but I have a little bit of good news on a couple slides in. I'll point to that. And our 3-year funded average for ADA, our UPP, like Dr. Miranda said, was about 87, right around there. That means we have a lot of need. When that number is higher, the higher amount of that number meets our need. We have a lot of need in this district, which drives the LCFF dollars that we get. Step and column, STRS has been locked into that rate for years and in the out years as well. PERS, as you can see in 27-28, it's up to 28.5. But if I could project 10 more years out, it's projected to go down a little bit in the way more out years in that. So, but I didn't think we wanted to have a current plus 5 or 6 years on this slide to show just that. So the next thing, this is a really important slide. So COLA came in at 2.3% for us. So that's why when we don't want to talk percentages, we want to talk dollars. So if you look in column 24-25, that is our revenue that we receive for LCFF for this current school year. Even with a 2.3 COLA projected, our revenue is going down because it's on less students and that. So even though we're getting a COLA 2.3, it's actually almost $3.8 million less coming into the district than this year. Now, the next slide is important too. So at second interim, our projection, the dartboard had COLA projected at 2.43, and it came out at 2.3, and we increased money from that point. And that is part of our schools doing a great job getting kids to come to school. You as a board setting that 10-10-95, focusing on that. That made it so it was kind of a wash where we didn't receive less. We actually received more with a 2.3 COLA at adoption here than we were projecting with a 2.3. Dr. Ortiz and his team really hammers home kids going to school. That brings more money in, and this is an example that shows the hard work doing that, because without that, it could have been a lot worse of the less money that we're getting based on declining enrollment. I'm going to turn it over to Maria Amanda.
Okay. So this slide breaks down our LCFF funding and shows the changes between the current fiscal year and the upcoming budget year. So our base changes is a decrease of $2.5 million. And then our supplemental and concentration, which is what makes up our LCAP funding, that is going down by $1.2 million. So our total projected LCFF revenue is $278.8 million. Underneath that, we see the breakdown of what makes up that $278.8 million. So our base funding for the coming year is projected to be $202.6 million, while our LCAP funding is projected to be $76.1 million. This slide shows our enrollment and ADA history, and as we can see, it is continuing to decrease. The top line shows enrollment in the black line, and the orange line is projections for the budget year and the 3 out years. The blue line is ADA, and they're continuing to decrease together. Our ADA percent is currently at 93%, and we're projecting that it'll stay the same in the out years. This slide shows the unrestricted MYP with current year estimated actuals, the budget year, and the 2 out years. Our revenues are staying pretty stable with slight increases in the out years. Our expenditures are increasing in the out years, mostly due to salary and benefit increases. We are projecting that we will deficit spend in all years, but we still maintain a positive ending fund balance, and we're able to meet our 3% reserve. Next slide. This slide shows our combined MYP, so this brings in our restricted expenditures and revenues. And same, we are projecting that we will deficit spend, but we will still maintain a positive ending fund balance, be able to meet our 3% reserve and our obligations. Next steps, June 15th is the deadline for the legislator to send the budget to the governor, and June 30th is the deadline for the governor to sign the budget. June 17th, the board will consider and approve the 25-26 LCAP and budget. August 29th is when we would bring any 45-day budget revisions to the board for consideration. And September 4th is when we will bring unaudited actuals. Any questions?
Questions? The big question is how likely is this to change, right? So we did get our May revise from the governor, which actually was more promising than what we thought initially going into that. The state of California is obviously in a deficit. However, it appears that he's trying to hold the line, if you will, and fund these education initiatives. But again, we're still waiting for a substantial volume of Los Angeles County taxes to come in, the tax revenues, because they were deferred. Property taxes were deferred. Income taxes may have been referred to for LA County. I'm not sure. For at least
their deadline was put to October 17th, I believe.
Right. You can imagine that's a huge portion of California. So anyway, yeah. To what degree do we expect there to be changes?
There will be some changes because there are certain things that we were instructed to by the county not to include in this adopted. And one of the big things is the discretionary block grant that's sitting out there because it's a risky thing. So in the May revise, it didn't change from the original when the governor put out his in January. It is supposed to be able to be spent on anything, right? But it was really put out there to help districts pay any AB 218 claims, but they're not going to write that into the language of that. But there's still talks at the state level of how they're going to fund that. Right now, as it has been presented, it's based on your ADA number. And for us, that would bring in $5.8 million that we would add to our budget. But it could change to UPP account, right? So if they do that, that will bring more dollars in because you saw from our slides, we're at a high 87%. So I'm hoping that happens. So it could increase revenues in and give us discretionary money to spend where we need to spend to tackle some expenses as well. So those are the main area that it could fluctuate there. They also had us not put in there the change to TK funding. In the beginning of the year, it was around $6,000. They increased it, but then in May revise, they cut it back to around $5,000 per. So we're still not knowing what's going on. From what we were told at our meeting last week, there's conflict at the state level. When they're negotiating, they canceled hearings about the TK as well, so we're not knowing. We'll know in a few weeks once it gets to governor, then once it gets signed. So that we haven't put in there. That could go back to the 6,000 level. Who knows? Or if it goes lower than that, then that will adjust just down in that. So those two things are two key things we didn't put in there, and all the districts around were instructed not to as well, just to be safe, because you don't want to put something in that comes out lower than expected, you'd rather have to add to it, and that because those were identified as risky things that could change in the negotiation process, which is going on this month at the legislative office of Sacramento.
Any other questions, comments? No? All right, thank you. We appreciate the presentation. This brings us to our action items for this evening. We have several action items, items 6.1 through 6.83. So at this time, I'll ask if there are any items that folks, board members wish to defer for separate consideration. I'm going to go ahead and pull item 6.2. This is our district governance handbook, just for a comment and consideration, separate consideration. If there are no others, then what we'll do is I will call then for a motion to approve the action session items 6.1 through 6.83 with the exception of 6.2. Is there a motion? So moved. All right, motion by Board Member Thorian Ojeda. Is there a second? Second by Board Member Sandoval.
Quick question.
Please, Mr. Barra.
On the Think Together contract, I'm noticing that every year it continues to go up. I believe the first time we approved something was at $1 million. Now we're looking at close to $3 million. What has changed? What are we getting for our money? How is it monitored? Or as far as, I read it, you know, they're indicating that they're going to provide X number of employees. They're going to do, I believe, 1 to 10. What else is it that all of a sudden we're starting to every year go up and up? I know that things are starting to cost more. There's no doubt about that. But we're looking at $3 million.
Yeah, I was going to say, for the record, this is 6.17, which is the high dosage tutoring.
Yes. So, you know, the amount and you know, how are we monitoring what's occurring at every site? And as far as the district personnel, who's responsible to make sure that they're complying with their end of the deal?
Director Murphy is in charge of this program, along with Ron Perez as the manager for this program. And so the high dosage tutoring is a new program this year. And so we actually offer it to our teachers first at the school sites. And then we have classified staff as well that are participating, but it wasn't enough to fill the need. And so we're working with Think Together to provide the extra ones that we can't provide from within. And so they go through training with our team in order to become tutors. And then we have pre-post tests, things like that oversee that. And then the school sites oversee it, as well as Director Murphy and Ron Perez.
Is it similar to CAPS?
I'm not sure what CAPS is.
CAPS is the program that San Diego City Unified School District uses. You're not familiar with it? I'm not familiar. Okay,
Well,
that's fair enough.
Well, what Mr. Barr is referring to is this item here is the tutoring piece for high dosage, correct? Correct. Yeah, this is, so the ACES program, which is funding the after-school programs to Think Together, is a different item than this.
There's different things. So we have, one of the things that occurred a couple of years ago is for the ELOP program, Expanded Learning, you had to provide 30 extra days of support. And so Think Together provides during breaks and during the June month and 30 extra days throughout the year where kids are not in school. And so that's the increase in those. The ACES was only for, do you know how many schools under ACES? 6 to 9 schools for ACES. We have increased that to do it across the district, so that's also where we have a huge increase in funding to where it used to be $1 million to do the whole program. That was only for about 6 schools. And so we've increased it over the last 10 years or 5 years to meet every school. So you'll notice a lot of when we do those contracts, there's 2 or 3 that come at the same time because they're for each of the different schools that we're adding. And then the high dosage tutoring was implemented last year.
So just for clarification, the high dosage tutoring is separate from their normal program. So are we actually, just for my knowledge, are we actually paying them for the high dosage and the regular program?
So it's a different set of employees. They actually come into the classrooms and work with, like a teacher would after school or that. So it's a
So we're looking at credentialed teachers.
credentialed. We have classified staff that are doing it as well, and so they're trained though by our credentialed teachers, and they're trained by our CPSs and our school improvement office, and we're actually seeing some positive results of.
So the curriculum is developed by Cone Joint Unified School District? Yes. So, okay. Because I've seen their curriculum, and you know. Anyway, I won't make a comment on what I think about their curriculum, but if it's a curriculum that we're developed and we're training, you know, it's just that, you know, with us taking a look at increased, you know, costs and funding and lack of funding, you know, if you start seeing one particular program every year going up $500,000, $500,000, you know, next year, you know, they're going to come with a $4 million ticket. So I think that's something we just, as a district, need to just be aware of. Yeah, before, you know. So it just caught my eye. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Barra. Any other questions? Yes, Board Member Thorian Ojeda.
I had some similar questions about Think Together. It seems like they're doing a lot for us, or I hope a lot for us, for a lot of money. Is it possible that we could have kind of a report on how many schools each program, each different program they're providing, and how many schools and what that involves, so it gives us a clearer picture of what we're really paying for? I would like that. Could we have a consensus to do that?
Absolutely. I think, is there consensus for that? And I think what's helpful, if I may, is the sources of funds are also different and unique. And so that's helpful to know too. So the ACEs, for example, is different than what we're using for some of these other and so it may be the same organization, but they're doing different things with different colors of money, if you will. Correct. Okay. That would be helpful. Yeah, absolutely. It's a good question, because you're right. It has grown quite a bit over the years, and they are doing multiple things. And I know in the past, Randy Barth, who's their CEO, has been here to talk with us, present, but it's good to keep track on that, keep track of that. Okay. We'll do that. Absolutely. Great. All right. Any other questions or comments? If not, I will call for the vote for items 6.1 through item 6.83, with the exception of item 6.2, the governance handbook. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, so ordered unanimously. Item 6.2 is our board governance handbook. I'll go ahead and make the motion to, actually, well, I'll make a well, this is going to be interesting because we've run into this before where we've been, make the motion. Thank you,
I'll
Board
make the
Member
motion.
Barra.
Yep.
Is there a second?
President shouldn't.
A second, okay. I'm gonna, we're familiar with the handbook, and again, I want to appreciate and thank all the board members for participating in this process. During the conversation, and the handbook itself, Dr. Miranda, is great, and thank you, Ms. Medina, for working on the amendments. There was a topic that came up in our conversation around board members when they're participating in activities and events directly with students. What I'm referring to is chaperoning or going on field trips and doing things, I would say, above and beyond the normal board member activities, where, of course, we have supervised visits on Dr. Miranda, for example, or assistant superintendents or directors may tour us, facilities, campus sites, et cetera, going to graduations. Those are all things that we do as board members. But a question came up because we have a number of us who like to do other activities and events, and we're around the kids. And I made the comment that, you know, it's interesting, we're the only folks that don't go through the screening process that are on campus with our kids. Every volunteer has to be screened. Of course, every employee does. We do not, or at least we have not historically. And so the question that I'd like to pose is whether or not we want to generate some kind of, and I'll be clear, this is self-imposed, number one, and number two, it's voluntary, because we cannot legally require elected, duly elected board members to take a live scan background check as a function of being a board member. It's simply not something we can do. But this is a self-imposed, voluntary recommendation that if board members are going to chaperone events, go on field trips, and be involved with students at that level, that we highly recommend that board members go through that same live scan screening process. It's something, again, we can choose to impose on ourselves, put it in the handbook, have the language drafted, Dr. Miranda, with our appropriate staff. But I wanted to put that out there to see if there's feedback, thoughts. Do we think that's a good idea? Do we want them to generate some language to include in the handbook? Yes, please, Board Member Thorian Ojeda.
I think since we make so many decisions, all of the decisions of what our students are going to be doing, what we do at our schools for our staff, that it's just good leadership to let them know that we can be trustworthy. And again, if you don't have to do it, I understand that, but I just think that it's showing that we do care and that it matters. And by doing that, I think it's really an important message we're sending to the community. Because there have been instances where elected people shouldn't be doing the things that they're doing. And we wouldn't find that out if not everybody did it. However, it's a safeguard, and I think it's a good idea. So I support that.
And I would agree. Speaking as a parent, my expectation is any adult that's on a campus, any adult that's involved, whether it's the school dance or you know, that's engaged with the kids, there's oversight. They've been vetted. They've gone through the application, the background check process. They've been approved as a volunteer. No parent, no other volunteer can do those things without going through the background. So you're right. It's a safeguard. It's accountability. It shows that we're not asking anybody to do anything that we ourselves aren't willing to do.
The only thing that I have any concerns relative to that is the fact that there's only 5 of us here. You know, we are missing 2 board members for their input. You know, even if we do a consensus, it would be minus these extra 2 board members. So that's something we might want to consider, maybe bringing that question back when we're all here as a whole body.
And I think we can do that. And I think maybe the most efficient way to do it, Dr. Miranda, is because this would have to come back for adoption. We'd have to draft some language, find where it fits in the handbook. Right. If there's a consensus for them, for staff to do that work, and then maybe we bring back, you know, sort of 2 versions, if you will, the current version that's been recommended for adoption, and then we have the language that should we choose to include it, we can have that conversation with the full board. If everybody would like to, we can. If not, we can certainly keep it as is. But that way we've got the work being done and the language being put together and ready to go. Does that make sense? Yeah. Is that a good alternative? That way everybody has input and we can make amendments even at that time. Okay. All right. So at this time, we won't approve the handbook as is, but there's consensus from the board to request that staff generate language around that screening process, if you will, the background check, the live scan background check for board members as a voluntary and, you know, strongly recommended, but obviously voluntary, if they are to participate in events and activities involving students, comparable to what our volunteers do.
Okay.
Okay. Excellent.
We'll bring it back.
All right. Sounds good. Appreciate that. All right. This takes us to our CFD hearing. So we have a number of CFD hearings that we'll need to run through, folks. So if you'll bear with me, some language that we'll need to ensure that we get on the record. So we're going to go ahead and start by closing the regular meeting of the Colton Joint Unified School District Board of Education and opening the meeting of the governing board for CFD number 2. So we're now at item 7.1. And I will close the meeting regular meeting, if you will, and open the governing board meeting for CFD number 2. Item 7.1, adoption of resolution number 25110, CFD 2, establishing the annual special tax levy for fiscal year 2025-26 for CFD district number 2. Okay, sorry, I want to make sure I have all this correct for Ms. Medina. Okay. At this time, I'm going to go ahead and ask if there is a motion to approve item 7.1, which is for CFD number 2. Is there a motion to approve the item? Okay. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a motion by Board Member Thorian Ojeda, second by Board Member Ibarra. And again, this is item 7.1, and it is establishing the special levy for CFD number 2. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it is approved. So I will go ahead and close the Governance Board meeting for CFD number 2 and open the Governance Board meeting for CFD number 3. And this is item 8.1, the adoption of resolution number 25-111, CFD 3, establishing the annual special tax levy for fiscal year 25-26 for the Community Facilities District number 3. And I will ask if there is a motion to approve the special tax levy.
I'll motion.
I have a motion by Board Member Flores. Is there a second? Second. Second by Board Member Sandoval? Okay. Second by Board Member Sandoval. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it is so ordered. So I will close the governing meeting for CFD number 3 and open the governance board meeting for CFD number 2024-1. And this is item 9.1, the adoption of resolution number 25-112, establishing the annual special tax levy for fiscal year 25-26 for Community Facilities District number 2024-1. Is there a motion to approve the special tax levy for CFD 2024-1? Okay, motion by Board Member Thorian Ojeda. Is there a second? A second by Board Member Ibarra. Any comments or questions? Hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it is so ordered. And I will go ahead and close the hearing for CFD 2024-1 and open the hearing for CFD number 2024-2. And this is item 10.1. This is the adoption of resolution 25-113, establishing the annual special tax levy for fiscal year 25-26 for Community Facilities District number 2024-2. At this time, I'll ask if there is a motion to approve the special tax levy for CFD 2024-2. Motion by Board Member Ibarra. Is there a second? A second by Board Member Flores. Any questions or comments? Okay, hearing none, I'll call for the vote. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Any abstentions? Hearing none, it is so ordered. All right, and that will officially close CFD number 2024-2, and I'll reopen the regular meeting of the Colton Unified School District Board of Education. Thank you for that. That takes us to administrative reports at this time. Any questions on our approved disbursements or item 11.2, the approved change order for Joe Baca Middle School field lighting project? Which I understand the lights are in, Dr. Miranda, so.
They're up. I don't know if they're on.
I don't know if they're working. We have to wait till about 9 o'clock at night to see if they work. All right, if there are none, there is no facilities update, correct? Okay. So I don't know if we have folks here from ACE. I'll ask though, is there a representative from ACE? Going once, going twice. All right, CSEA? Anyone that wishes to present? No? Okay. Yes. Okay, thank you. Appreciate that. Mac. All right.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. MAC has not presented before you for a few months now, but we wanted to give you an update as we close out the school year. Oops. Okay, thank you. All right, we wanted to just, as everybody heads off into their summer vacation, we wanted to help our members keep this in mind as they plan for the 25-26 school year and start making plans for their SIPSA budget use and things of that nature. We want to remind them and encourage them to continue to attend professional development trainings for themselves if possible. And so there's a great opportunity through our AXA Lead Loudly conference that's coming up in November on the 6th through the 8th in San Francisco. There's going to be a lot of great opportunities for them to learn and grow from other educators and leaders across the country. And so we encourage them to register for this if they're interested. In addition, we would like to make sure that we notify them about the opportunity to submit a proposal. We have a lot of great things that are happening in CJUSD, as you heard from our LCAP presentation this evening. There's a lot of great things that our leaders are doing on their campuses and a lot of innovative things. So we want to encourage them to try to share their story, and build bridges for our future. So thank you very much. Please make sure you submit your proposals if you're interested by June 30th. And most recently, our AXA Region 12 celebrated educational excellence of its leaders as well as some of the students. MAC recognizes that we would like to set a goal of recognizing and nominating our CJUSD management members for the 25-26 school year. So we're making a commitment to ensure that we are going to submit some nominations for next school year. And now I would like to introduce Tiffany Davis. She'll be sharing portions of the next few slides.
Good evening, Board President Flores, board members, Superintendent Dr. Miranda, and members of the audience. So I was able to go to the AXA conference in Palm Springs, and I actually won a free enrollment to the Leadership Summit, so I will be going. You guys don't have to pay for it, yay. But one of the things that they did talk about too was the AXA Academies, and for any of our individuals that are members of AXA, they get to enjoy half-off pricing for this. Now, we are part of Region 12, and one of our specialties here in Region 12 is equity. So they do want to make sure that anybody within us, please look at our equity seminars, but also look at the other things that we have as well. The academies are specifically designed for our different leaders in management, for those that are within a position or those that are looking to move up. These are approximately 70 to 100 hours, so they do limit us to only one cohort each year. If you are interested in signing up, please make sure that you scan that QR code. It'll take you directly to the catalog. AXA will also help with putting some of the money towards your fee. Just make sure you fill out their grant or their scholarship funds. Next, please. We had the opportunity at the AXA conference to hear from our own Ted Alejandre and also Dr. Gomez, who is the superintendent of Riverside. And they both talked about leading with passion. But Mr. Flores, they did also speak to the economic well-being of our students and looking at the poverty line and how we can increase their overall well-being within our school year. One of the other things that they did push on greatly was the graduation rates. We're looking at how AVID is a huge impact towards our students, and we want to see how we can bring that to the middle schools and even all the way down to the elementary schools. Next slide. One of the things that a few things that we are looking at are the Prop 98 funding, which is how we get our LCFF. We know that the funding does appear to be stable, but we are looking and watching that as we kind of move forward in the next few years. One of the things that they are also looking into is ABA 959, which was brought to the floor by Hadwick, to see if we could offer admin intern credential pathways for our members. Another thing is looking at the White House's common sense school disciplinary policies. We know that this will have a direct impact on behaviors and our academics, such things as attendance, suspension rates, right? And looking at our subgroups that we are in differential service with. So we're looking to see how that's going to impact and how us as a community and us as an organization can ensure that we minimize anything that happens to those students. And lastly, one of the ones that I think a lot of us are looking into is ABA 1224 brought to the floor by Valencia, which is increasing the substitute service from 30-day to 60-day. And I know that many of us, right, it would definitely be good, and we're hoping that that makes it all the way through. Next. Here are some of the seminars that we did get to attend, which totally align with everything that we're talking about with LCAP. We're looking at AXA's influence. The other thing that AXA really wants us to focus in on is membership and utilizing our voice. We know that we are the largest umbrella organization for management in the entire country, so we need to make sure that we are loud and we are serving our students properly. The next piece, which was by our former Lynette White and Dr. Bryant, was looking at branding. So it's about taking the pieces within our community, seeing what they do well, seeing what they want, and then making sure the community serves that piece. So looking at how we can brand ourselves as leaders, but also the schools. We know that AI is a big piece, so we're also thinking about how do we demystify AI in education, put it to good use. So different leaders and different administrators had the opportunity to share what they are seeing. One of the things that I thought was fabulous, and I already took it to my 5th grade team, was they asked AI to pretend to be a historical figure, and then they had conversations with that said historical figure to allow them insight and perspective. So where we see as AI as something that might be scary, right? How can we harness it to help broaden our children's mindsets? It's something really beautiful, and it was cool to listen to all of those different viewpoints. The next thing we're looking at was student strengths and reduction in student suspensions. So we definitely ensured how are we looking at our subgroups that are the most impacted by these things. Our students with disabilities, our African American students, and our EL students. How are we going to fix those? How are we going to address them? We talked specifically about looking at student strengths and how we can implement their student strengths and build that within our disciplinary practices to help mitigate some of those suspension rates. And then the last one, we're already here, is talking about our emotional intelligence. All of us here in the management went through all of that training with our emotional intelligence, so we're kind of already ahead of the game. So those are some great seminars that we were able to be a part of. Next.
All right. We'd like to close out our presentation tonight with thanking all of our dedicated staff members, our classified staff members, our teachers, and our management site leaders for your unwavering commitment to our students during the 24-25 school year. Your efforts in organizing and supporting a wide range of events from welcome back activities, science fairs, award nights, parent engagement activities, dress up days, Read Across America activities, staff appreciation days, field trips, scheduled pickups and checkouts, career days, senior celebrations, and activities that there's an exhaustive list that I can go on and on with. You truly make the difference for CJUSD students and community members. Each event that you plan and every moment that you dedicate helps create meaningful experiences, fosters school spirit, and builds a stronger, more connected community for our families. To our management team members, your leadership and passion does not go unnoticed, and we are deeply grateful for all that you do. We want to wish everyone a wonderful and restful summer break. Thank you very much.
Presentation, yeah. Awesome. Awesome presentation. All right, that takes us to ROP update. Do we have an ROP update, Mr. Barra? Okay, great. We'll have one at our next meeting. All right, Superintendent's communique, Dr. Miranda.
All right, thank you, President Flores. So just a couple slides here, actually 3. First, I wanted to highlight and start with our 24-25 leadership seminar. This is led by our Human Resource Department, and they proudly have facilitated what we call a dynamic leadership seminar. It's designed for aspiring leaders throughout the district. Participants, and I've seen that happen, are engaged in a powerful curriculum centered on key leadership strands such as values-driven leadership, personal mastery, and team building. The seminar emphasizes both theory and application, with participants exploring professional readings, participating in collaborative discussions, and developing their own leadership capacity. So this starts in January, and then is held, or started in January, and is held throughout the whole school year. And then it culminates in this very powerful, reflective journey to Gettysburg and also Washington, D.C., where participants will walk the Civil War battlegrounds and engage in just experiential leadership, learning, and bringing history to life. It's an incredible experience for our folks and people that participate, and it's actually transformative too, because I've attended that. It's pretty awesome. We commend our staff who have committed, and you've heard some people already highlight that this evening, committed themselves to this professional growth journey. And again, thank you to HR and Dr. Dade for his team putting together. Summer Enrollment Center, excited about this. We want to support our families, and we want to increase, obviously, our student enrollment. And so Student Services Department is hosting a Summer Enrollment Center, and in fact, it's here. Former Operation Department down here in this building. Got to check it out yesterday or a couple of days ago during our cabinet retreat. So the Summer Enrollment Center is open was open June 2nd. It'll be open until June 27th from 8 to 3:30 p.m. It's here, Suite 155. So again, the center provides in-person assistance to parents, guardians with pre-enrollment support for new students. We want to ensure that they feel welcome and they get a great experience there. So any questions or need additional information, please contact our Student Services team directly. I can give you Dr. Ortiz's cell phone number. Okay, no, I won't do that, but we can help you with that. Go online too, it's up there on our website. But I was very excited to see the enrollment center here. It was pretty cool there. Okay, last one. Our summer meals program is back. This started June 3rd, and it's going to go on through June 30th. So our nutrition services team, once again, will provide free summer meals to all students across all our sites, as well as public meal service at 11 community locations, including the Gonzales Community Center. And so we're excited about that. At the school sites, the hours for breakfast are 8:05 to 8:30 a.m., and then lunch will be served from 10 to 10:30 a.m. At the Gonzales Community Center, breakfast will be served from 8:30 to 9:15 a.m., lunch 11:30 a.m. to 12:15 p.m. Flyers have been distributed, social media, it's been sent out to our community. They're all over the school offices, and they've been shared, again, all our social media platforms. Again, just a special thank you to Director Robertson and her outstanding nutrition services team that puts this together to ensure that our students and families continue to receive nutritious meals during the summer months. We've talked about poverty, the impact. This is one way the district is serving our community, and we're more than proud to do it. And so thank you again, Nutrition Services. So with that, that is my communique this evening. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Miranda. Just if I may, since you were on this slide, just a point of clarification so we understand that we can share. Obviously, these are the sites, so parents know that it doesn't have to be your kid's school site. It could be any of the sites, correct? Yeah.
Absolutely, 100% correct, Board President. Okay. Any site.
Yeah. So it's available to anybody that wants to go. The kids, of course, and just a note, parents, not the parents, the kids get to eat, and that's okay. But no, I want to make that clear because some folks were under the impression I'd heard that they had to go to their school site, and that's not necessarily the case. Not all of our school sites obviously have them. So.
Yeah, absolutely. They can go to any of the sites and get the meals there. Yeah, great question. Yeah. Yeah, not for adults, parents, the first.
Bring
students.
your chorizo burrito if you're mom or dad, but the kids can eat. That's
right.
All right, very cool. Thank you. All right, board member comments. We'll start with Board Member Bertha Flores.
No comment, just wishing everyone a happy summer vacation.
Board Member Ibarra?
Well, I just want to say thank you to all the school sites. It was a wonderful graduations everywhere, and for all those who worked really, really hard to make a very memorable day for all our students and our families and our communities. Just want to say thank you to everybody there. I know this is a little bit belated, but to all the mothers, I hope you had a wonderful Mother's Day. And to the fathers, hopefully next week, Father's Day, hopefully you all have a wonderful Father's Day and enjoy your families and get treated, you know, whatever that means to you. So with that being said, just want to wish everybody a wonderful summer. Try to stay cool and don't overdo the barbecues. So with that, thank you. Thank you, Dan.
Thank you, Board Member Ibarra. Again, I'll just echo what Board Member Ibarra said about the promotions and graduations. Thank everyone that was involved in planning, setting up, cleaning up, organizing. I shared to a lot of folks, we don't realize what goes on behind the scenes to make those events as special as they are. And this year, they've just felt incredibly well organized, well run. Families were so proud to be there. It's amazing. It's a fun event. So thank you for everything you do to make our kids and families feel special. And again, enjoy the summer. It'll be over before you know it. All right, so that concludes our open session for today. So we'll go ahead and adjourn open session and jump into closed session. snuck out the back. Excellent. Okay, we'll reconvene our open session here with the board. And we'll begin with item 15.1. There were 2 student discipline items presented in closed session. Is there a motion to uphold the expulsion orders as presented? Anyone? Okay. I have a motion by Board Member Ibarra. Is there a second? Second by Board Member Thoreen Ojeda. All those in favor say aye. 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 Any opposed? Any abstentions? All right. Hearing none, the motion is carried, and the board will uphold the expulsion orders of the 2 student discipline items presented for students number 1085614 and 1046355. Item 15.2, this is our personnel public employee appointment discipline dismissal release item. On a motion by Board Member Bertha Flores and seconded by Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, and carried on a 5-0 vote with Board Members Fuentes and Haro absent. The board approved the personnel public employee appointments as presented on the agenda. Okay. Item 15.3. On a motion by Board Member Frank Ibarra and seconded by Board Member Thoreen Ojeda, and carried on a 5-0 vote, the board approved LaQuinta Martin, Assistant Principal, High School, to be determined. And item 15.4, on a motion by Board Member Bertha Flores and seconded by Board Member Ibarra, and carried on a 5-0 vote approval, the board approved Celine Workman, Principal, Elementary, to be determined. And that is all that we have for this evening. So